Good afternoon. Hey, my name's Christian, and I'm a teacher at Space Yoga, and I am going to be conducting today's beginner session. It's Wednesday, April 1st, 5-ish p.m., 4:55. So if you're watching this in real time or if you're watching it back after the fact, you got a couple moments just to get yourself together, your mat, put on any kind of music, whatever makes you feel most comfortable and ready to practice. We're going to get started in just a couple of moments. I'm also going to be setting up an Instagram live feed, so you'll see me moving around, and then we'll get started. Okay? It's good to be with y'all. Hey, all you cool cats and kittens. Welcome back. My name is Christian, and I'm one of the teachers at Space Yoga Studio here in Augusta, Georgia. This is the daily 5 p.m. Live stream. Today is going to be a beginner level practice. It's roughly about 4:56. We're going to get started here in just about 3 or 4 minutes. Practice, just for expectation purposes, will last right around 45 minutes. There'll probably be about 2 or 3 minutes at the end for a quiet meditation or shavasana, and then we'll wrap up. In these preceding moments, just go ahead and get your mat ready, get yourself comfortable, make sure the temperature in the room is good. Turn on any music that you like, candles. You turn on or put on some incense. I don't know, go smudge the room. Whatever makes you feel ready to practice. I'm also going to be live streaming this on YouTube for our subscribers there. In the meantime, a couple of news and notes, a couple of things just to mention. So Monica Acosta may or may not be monitoring the comment section of YouTube and Instagram today. If you have any questions whatsoever or any feedback, she will likely be there to address it in real time, or she'll do so after the fact. She's very responsive. The other thing to note is that if you enjoyed today's practice, please log on to Space Yoga Studio, and there's a link in there for Project Create Space. Everything that we do benefits the nonprofit Project Create Space, which allows us to take yoga into underserved populations around the city. Notably, Hope House, and other addiction treatment settings, the VA, the Day Reporting Center, which is an incarcerated facility for men that are transitioning from full containment back into society, and a number of other, several of Richmond County schools benefit from the yoga programs that Project Create Space puts out there. So please go and give what you can. I know these are difficult times, but these experiential pathways are just going to continue to be so necessary for everyone. We've got about 2 more minutes. This will be a beginner level yoga practice today. If you want to go ahead and message your friends real quick and tell them to jump on, because there's a super cute, hilarious, awesome guy teaching, that would be advisable. But it will be a very approachable practice, especially for folks who haven't ever really done much yoga or who are looking to get back into it. So it's good to have you. I see lots of people coming. Let me see if I can touch all the waves. Hey, what's up? Good to have y'all. All right, so get situated. We are going to start seated. So if you want to go ahead and get there, I'm going to climb off the floor here. Just looking up at the YouTube as well. So I'm going to climb up off the floor, get into a seated position, and that's where we're going to begin in about 1 minute. Happy April Fool's Day. Hopefully everybody can hear me good. I did this last week and watched it back myself, and the volume was good. So I tried it one time also with my AirPods in, and it didn't really seem to make much of a difference. So I'm just not going to wear them today because it feels kind of weird doing yoga with AirPods in. Um, all right, so got just a couple more moments. Just as if we were in the studio, I'm going to make sure that anybody who wants to join us gets to do so. So I'm going to give us just a couple more moments before we get going. News and notes. So we do this every day at 5. There are a lot of really talented teachers, much more talented than me. You'll find out here shortly, that teach every day at 5. So please continue to come back, experience what those other teachers have to offer. Share with your friends. Make sure you follow us on Instagram as well as YouTube. Click that like and subscribe button. And yeah, that's it. So for those of y'all that are just joining, once again, my name is Christian. I'm a teacher at Space Yoga Studio. I'm also one of Project Create Spaces teachers. And that means that I am one of the teachers who takes yoga to some of those underserved populations I mentioned. Monica Acosta is the owner of Space, as well as the director of Project Create Space. And if you have any questions during the broadcast today, either on YouTube or on Instagram, please drop them in the comment section and she'll address them, I promise. So here we are, we're going to get going. We are in a seated position. You can be crisscross applesauce like me. You can go fire logs if that's something you have access to. If you don't know what that is, then don't worry about it. You can also go, soul to soul, right? I just want you to get comfortable here at the beginning. Just kind of rock into those sit bones. Sit up nice and tall. So, pulling those shoulders up and back and letting them drop down. You can bring your hands to rest on your knees. You're invited to close down your eyes for just a couple of moments if you desire. Go ahead and take a big breath in. Exhale out through the mouth. Just kind of breathe in the day as you've experienced it so far. And then just let it settle in the room around you. This is your time now. You've chosen to practice. So claim this time for yourself. Every time we breathe in our yoga practice, we want to try and fill up that entire abdominal complex. So most of us breathe in this upper respiratory region for a lot of different reasons. And that's just kind of where we hang out. So what I want you to invite yourself or, create space for yourself to do is to breathe all the way down into that full abdominal cavity. Just imagine your body like a balloon. And so what you're trying to do is fill up every crevice of that balloon. So big breath in. Hold it at the top until your body begs for it to go, and then letting it out. All right. You can just keep doing that for a moment. It doesn't have to be as exaggerated as that, but just begin to breathe more deeply. And if you still have those eyes closed, you can still hear my voice, obviously. Let's start to set some kind of intention. We're going to be practicing together for about the next 40-ish minutes. Just create an intention around what you want to accomplish today. It could be as simple as, I just need some movement. Right? And that seems like an oversimplification, but it's not. I just want to move for a little bit. Something that isn't my children's schoolwork, that isn't, the online chat rooms that are required because of my job, that isn't Facebook, that isn't Corona updates. I just want to move and be on my mat. And that's it. That could be your intention. Maybe it's a little more complex. Maybe there's something that you've been dealing with and you want to stretch it out. We know that those issues live in our tissues. This is your opportunity to release that. So set that intention now. And when you have it, see it on the back of your eyelids as a phrase or a single word. And just hold on to that. Once you got it there, you can open up those eyes. Big breath in. we're going to windmill those arms up overhead, pushing that head through that window so those ears are next to those biceps, creating a lot of length in our sides. And as we exhale, floating those arms back down. Big breath in. Arms go back up. You can actually tilt that head back outside the window now. And you're just creating space in different areas. Breathing out, floating those arms back down. One more time. Big breath in. Arms reaching way up high. You can take your gaze with the hands towards the ceiling. And as we exhale this time, we're going to twist to the right, bringing that right arm behind us and just planting it in the back. I'll actually scoot around. Y'all don't have to move on your mats. But here we are. All right. We're not leaning back into this back right arm. We're just using it as a kickstand, and that twist is generated from our core. You notice I can just pick this left arm up, resting on this right knee very easily. All right, I'm not using that knee to twist me around any further. It's just like an anchor point. I got a kickstand and an anchor point. You can take that gaze out over that right shoulder. Then we untwist, bring those arms back up overhead, and then twist down to that opposite side. I'll move around to stay in camera focus. All right. So here we are on that opposite side. This isn't anything elaborate, right? We're just beginning to prepare our bodies for the movements that are going to come later. Twisting back, up, arms overhead, big reach. And then bringing those hands down through heart center. Let's extend those legs out in front of us. And then we're just going to hinge at the hips, walk our hands down or reach for those toes. And let the head hang heavy here if you want. Or you can go ears to shoulders to begin to loosen up that neck region, that shoulder region. Rising back up. Now we are going to put the soles of those feet together. You can reach down and get your hands around the blade edges of those feet. All right. Once again, just creating an anchor point. I don't want you to use your ability to grab onto those feet to, really crank yourself down. We're just going to release our chest down towards the arches of our feet. All right. We're really just starting to create more space throughout our hips. All right. And getting us ready for some of those things we're going to do here in a couple of minutes. You'll notice as we go through this, we're going to replicate a lot of things in the standing positions that we did down here on the ground. And they'll feel different because we'll be in a different space physically once we get to them. Rising back up, we're going to spread those legs out wide as they'll go for you at this time. Still sitting up nice and tall, breathing into that full body. We're just going to turn our chest towards that right foot, reaching out for that right foot with that right hand. Releasing that chest down towards that thigh and that knee. Rising back up. Turning our chest towards that left leg now and releasing it down towards that left thigh. Rising back up again. And then we're going to sit back on those heels. Okay. We won't be here long. So if you're one of those people that this is uncomfortable for, you have a couple options. So right now I'm sitting back on my heels. I can always just rise up into a higher kneeling position. Okay. But the point is that we're putting that pressure on those ankles and we're starting to warm them up, right? So we're going to do a couple of wrist things, and at the same time we're doing those, keeping that time under tension on that ankle complex, getting them prepared to flex and move with us as we go through some later movements. Right now, just take that right arm, that palm facing the opposite wall, taking that left hand to those fingertips, just gently flexing back. Right, you know your body, so gently is going to be different for all of us. But we're just creating some space now underneath, right, in these muscles here, and in that wrist as well. Flipping that hand over now, so that palm of the hand is facing you, gentle pressure on top of the hand, creating some space along the top now, and in the upper portion of the wrist. Switching arms, left palm facing the opposite wall, gentle pressure on the fingers. Flipping that hand over, creating some space in that left wrist now. And then we can just roll those wrists out. All right, so they're going to be supporting a lot of our weight here soon. So how very good of us to get them ready to do that. So really quickly before we come off these heels and ankles, most of us carry that tension I was talking about earlier somewhere in our physical body. For me, it's in my shoulders and neck. So we're just going to give a little attention there real quick. I want you to just take that right ear and try and touch it to that right shoulder. Next, tilting that head back, opening that throat. And taking that left ear to that left shoulder. Finally, rolling that head forward, chin to chest. You can go back through each of those once now that you've created a little room. And if you want a little bit extra, you can take your hand to the top of the head and just let it act as a weight. I don't want you to pull on your head, right? Just rest that hand up there so you get a little bit extra through that opposite side, right? You don't need it when you tilt back. All right. A couple more big breaths in. Exhaling those hands down. One more time. Big breath in. Exhaling those arms back down. And we're going to move on to all fours. All right. Meaning long ways on our mat now. We want to have those hands spread out nice and wide. All right, and our shoulders are stacked directly above our elbows and our wrists. All right. Hips and knees. Our knees are hips distance apart, and our hips are stacked directly over our knees. Gaze is down in between our hands. So that keeps our neck in line with our spine. We're just going to go through several of our cat-cow movements. As we breathe in, we're going to push that navel down. Our head comes back, opening up our throat. Our hips roll. We get a slight swoop in our back. This is our cow pose. And as we exhale, pulling that navel in, rolling our hips under, chin to chest for our cat pose. Breathing in, cow. Exhaling, cat. Just go through a couple of those on your own breath. Realize that we're all probably in different places. So just knock out about 2 or 3 of those each. Once you get through those 2 or 3, just meet me back. That neutral flat back, that tabletop. We're going to start to go through some power and balance postures. I'm just going to move up a little bit on my mat. So we're going to start, or I'm going to start with my right leg because it's facing you out there in Instagram land. And I'm going to go back to the toes, to the ball of the foot on that right leg. So if I keep my head down with my gaze in between my hands, I have a perfectly straight line from my heel all the way up to the crown of my head. All right. I'm pushing back through that heel. All right. And when I'm ready, when you're ready, we're going to lift that right leg up so it's in line with our back. Okay. Keeping that foot flex so those toes are down. And to create a sense of balance here, if it's in your practice today, we're going to reach that opposite arm, that left arm out, long and in front of us. This is our spinal balance. This is where we'll begin to find our working edge. You notice that things start to shake a little bit here as you're supporting yourself and trying to balance. We're going to come back down with the hand first, then the toes, then the knee. And we're going to go through that again, a little bit quicker, and there's going to be an added invitation for an additional stretch in that. So going back to the toes, the ball of the foot on that right leg, pushing back through that heel, lifting that leg up to parallel. Opposite arm, left arm extends out long and in front of us. And you can reach back for that right foot. And here you are. Releasing gently, extending back into posture, spinal balance, and then back down in sequence. Finally with that knee. I'm going to turn around on my mat. You don't have to. I'm just making sure that everything makes sense on camera. So we're going to do that opposite side. We're going to go back to the ball of the foot, the toes on that left side. All right. Pushing back through that heel. Gaze is down in between those hands. Lifting that leg up to parallel, keeping that foot flexed. And then reaching that opposite arm, that right arm out, long and in front of us. Remembering to breathe and engaging your core. Bringing that hand back down first. Then the foot, then the knee. And we'll go through our progression again. So once again, if you can't reach back for that back foot, it's completely fine. Just stay in spinal balance. If you can, if you can't, that'll give you something to work towards. It's a great way of measuring your progress. All right, so we're gonna go back to those toes, pushing back to the heel on that left side. Leg comes up to parallel. Right arm reaches out long and in front. And when you're ready, you can either stay in spinal balance or reach back for that left foot. Releasing gently, extending back into posture, and then coming back down, hand, foot, knee. Good job, gang. Keeping with that power and balance, and kind of keeping things moving because we've got a short time frame. Some of y'all are going to love that. Some of you aren't. It's just the way the world works. We're going to curl both sets of toes, though. Okay. And on that next big breath in, we are going to hover the knees and the shins over the mat for 3 breaths times 3. So this is our bear pose. All right. So here we go. Big breath in. Hover those knees and shins. You want to make sure that those shoulders stay stacked over the wrists. We're pushing back through both sets of heels. Engaging our core. Gaze is right there out in front of our hands. Keep our neck in line with our spine. And we're breathing. Floating those knees down gently. We'll be here for 1 breath. And then back up. Checking in with that intention. Starting to measure where that working edge is today. Figuring out where we have room to grow. Floating those knees back down gently. We're going to do that one more time. Big breath in. Float those knees. You'll have a tendency to kind of rock back to compensate here. Make sure those shoulders stay stacked over those wrists. One more breath here. Float those knees down. Uncurl those toes and put them together. Send those knees out wide. We're going to walk our hands out long and in front of us. So you see how those knees get wide. Walk those hands out long. Release your chest to the floor for our first child's pose of the practice. Child's pose is our intentional pause button. It allows you to check back in with your breath. You can also check back in with that intention. And something that I love to tell my beginner classes is maybe 10 minutes in, you realize you set the wrong intention. It's okay to reset it now. You can always start over from wherever you are. So check in with that. See how you're feeling so far. We'll be here for about 1 more breath. Bringing those hands back to plant. We're going to put ourselves back into that all fours position. So walking those knees back underneath us. We're going to curl both sets of toes again. We're going to send our hips up towards the ceiling for our first downward dog of the practice. While we're here, we can pedal out those legs one at a time, creating some space in the backs of the legs like we did when we were flexing the wrists. And then just walking those feet up to meet those hands. We'll stay here in forward fold for just a moment. And kind of ragdoll here. Take opposite hands to opposite elbows. A little bit of right to left action. Coming up to halfway lift. So our hands on our knees. You'll notice I have that nice tabletop back again. Keeping my gaze down in front of my feet. That keeps my neck in line with my spine. And we're going to rise up. Hands up overhead. You can alternate bringing that head through that window or ears next to biceps. Dropping it back out again. And then floating those arms back down. When you do, bringing those hands behind us. So we're going to reach for opposite wrists or opposite forearms. We're just going to pin those arms behind the back for a very distinct reason. So most of us work at computers. We're constantly on our phones, kind of hunched up on our couch. Or we operate in a capacity, where we guard ourselves all the time. So we're constantly doing one of these numbers or protecting our neck or protecting our core. I want you to pin those arms behind the back, push that chest up and out, and pull those shoulders back and down. Slight tilt in the head and open up your throat. We're going to create some separation here. Putting those hands loose. You can just kind of shake those shoulders free. I'm going to make sure these, while I'm standing, that's probably better. Yeah. All right. So you want to be up towards the top of your mat. Usually what I recommend is about one pace off, right? So 1 foot length. We'll be feet at hips distance apart. All right, in our mountain pose, so we're standing nice and tall. Shoulders are pulled back. We got a nice proud chest. All right, this is our mountain pose. Hands at heart center. Pressing into the palms. And we're going to move as we breathe. All right, so here at mountain, we're going to take a big breath in. And as we exhale, we're going to enter into the sun salutation. So here we go. Big breath in. As we exhale, come into that halfway lift, hands to knees. And a nice tabletop back. We're breathing in here. As we exhale, releasing the hands and the head for forward fold. As we exhale, slight bend to the knees, plant the hands and step back into plank. All right, shoulders are back over wrists again, pushing back through both sets of heels. As we exhale, we release down slow, elbows to ribs. Uncurl those toes. And we're going to push up and find our back bend. So you could be here, low, with elbows completely bent. You can keep those hips pinned to the mat, locking out those arms so that chest is up and open. Just meet yourself where you're at today, whatever feels most comfortable. We're going to lower back down. Curl both sets of toes. We're going to have a big push up to down dog from here. Release both sets of knees down gently till we're back in that all fours again. We're going to walk those hands back so we're in that high kneeling position. All right. And then we're going to step one leg out. Doesn't matter which one you choose, just remember which one you start with. So it's just going to come out in front of us. And then we're going to, so that knee should start offset or set back behind that foot, as you can see. We're going to rock it forward to we're in that forward lunge position. Then we're going to hinge at the hips, leaning forward. Let me adjust here a little bit so y'all can see me out front. So as we hinge at the hips, both sets of hands will come inside that lead foot, okay? And then to finish it off, we'll curl the toes on that back leg, engaging that leg up off the ground till we're in our low forward lunge. Releasing that back knee down gently, uncurling toes, standing up back nice and tall, and sliding that knee back into space. We're going to step that opposite leg out, the one you didn't start with. All right. Lean forward into that forward lunge. Hinge at the hips. Place those hands inside that lead foot. Curl those toes. Engage that back leg. And just breathe. Releasing that knee back down gently. Standing up. Sliding that leg back into space. We're going to walk those hands back out until we're into that all fours position again. Curl both sets of toes. Then we're going to go back up into down dog. So send those hips up high. Walk those feet up to meet those hands. Forward fold. Halfway lift. So hands to knees, tabletop back. Rising up, arms up overhead. And then hands down through heart center. We're going to start, or I'm going to start with my right leg. Since it's facing the camera, facing you all. I'm going to step back about 3 paces. All right, so I'm in my Warrior 2 setup. So what that means, and you can't really see my feet anymore because I adjusted for standing, but my front foot, my toes are facing out in front of me. And my back right foot is now angled, so the toes are actually facing the camera, facing you all. That's my Warrior 2 setup. So the feet are in opposite directions. You can see that my knee is back behind my lead front foot. So I'm going to sink forward into that forward lunge position again. So that knee is stacked over that ankle now. All right. I'm supporting weight in the blade edge of my back foot. This back leg is completely locked out. Arms go up in either direction. Gaze goes out across that front arm, that front hand. Now, you'll notice sometimes when you get into this, depending on the amount of tension that you're holding, these shoulders can kind of get trapped up around your neck. To combat that, you can just flip both sets of hands over, and it forces your shoulders to drop, and then just roll your wrists. We're going to straighten this front leg up, arms up overhead, big breath in, and then sink back into that Warrior Two posture. We're going to take this right arm, this back arm, and pin it back behind the back again. Flip that front palm over. Arm comes up and over. Slight bend in the back. Still enjoying all that tension you hear. Releasing back to Warrior Two. We're going to stay here. So now front forearm to front thigh. That back arm comes up over high. And then out in front. Creating lots of good length in that side body. Back to Warrior Two. Then just step out. Here we are back in Mountain. Mountain operates a lot like our Child's Pose does. So when we're in these standing sequences, if you realize that you've gone beyond your working edge, you can collect yourself here again in Mountain, check back in with your breath, check back in with that intention, the same that we would do as if we were in our Child's Pose. We can also intentionally do this as a group, as a class, when we've been doing enough work to constitute a small pause. So big breath in, out through the mouth. One more time, big breath in through the nose. Fill up that whole balloon, and then exhale it out through the mouth. So we're going to go through that sun salutation again. I'm actually going to switch sides. You don't have to switch sides. We're going to do that opposite side so that we even everything out. So, big breath in. As we exhale, hinging at the hips. Halfway lift. Hands to knees. Exhaling to forward fold. Bend those knees, plant those hands, step back to plank. Nice, strong, straight lines, pushing back through those heels. We're going to release down slow, elbows to ribs. Choose your back bend. Releasing back down. We're going to curl those toes again. Big push up to down dog. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Nice tabletop back. Rising up, arms come up and over. Big stretch. Releasing those hands down through heart center. We're going to step back on this opposite side now. For me, it'll be the left. Just do the opposite of wherever you started at home. About 3 paces. All right. My feet are in alignment with one another. But remember, front foot, toes are facing ahead of me. Left back foot, toes are facing the opposite wall. I'm going to sink that leg. Arms extend in either direction. Gaze is out across that front hand. Remembering to breathe here. Remembering not to let those shoulders collect around that neck. Straighten that front leg up, arms come up and over, big breath in. Sink back into that warrior two lunge. We're going to pin that back arm behind the small of the back. Flip that front palm over, up and over. Gaze goes with that top hand. Loving that time under tension. Back to warrior two. We can take that front forearm to that front thigh. Back arm comes up and over and out in front. Back to warrior two. And then just step out. Shake it out. All right, we are getting close to the end. So we're going to go to a couple of chairs, and then we're going to make our way down to seated again, right where we started. But there seems to have been a lot of unintentional focus on kind of lower body today. So I'm just going to maintain that current course. All right, so when we talk about chair, feet are hips distance apart. As always, starting in that mountain posture, okay? And then I want you to just imagine an invisible chair behind you. So when we sink down, it's as if we're going to sit. So we're going to go through 3 of these, just the same way we did with our bear pose. So consider your levels. Maybe start high and then go a little bit lower. And for that third one, think about trying to get those legs to parallel to the ground or 90 degrees. All right. So I'm not going to face the camera, so you can't all judge me. All right. Here in mountain, nice big breath in. Then drop that butt back and down. We'll just be here for about 3 breaths. Back up. Quick check in. Big breath in. Go to that second level now. Try and keep that back nice and straight. Keeping that head up so that neck stays in line with your spine. Back up. This will be the last one. Sink it down as far as you can go this time. You can also bring those arms up for chair. It's a matter of preference. And then back up. All right, gang, as easily as you can, just make your way down to seated for me. Back where we started. A quick moment of reflection. You're invited to shut down your eyes one more time here. Just as we began, you can take notice of your breath. See how invigorated it is. See how much different it is than you started. You can bring that intention back to the forefront of your mind. Did you meet it? What kept you from doing so if you didn't? What can you do different next time? All of this is within your power. This is your practice always. Bringing those hands to heart center. Still sitting up nice and tall, chin to chest. I want to thank you for choosing to practice with me today. Thank you for trusting me to lead you. Thank you for being a part of this community. You are worthy. You are deserving. You are enough. And the light within me sees, honors, and respects the light within each of you. Namaste. Thank you for being here today, gang. Once again, just a reminder, we do this every day at 5 p.m. My name is Christian. I teach all the beginner classes. Well, not all the beginner classes, but I teach a beginner class at Space Yoga Studio. Please log on to the website. You're invited to give to Project Create Space. Once again, share this out. It'll be available via the Instagram story afterwards, and also out on YouTube. Invite your friends. Go click to subscribe and follow each of the pages, and stay safe. Wash your hands. Don't touch anybody. Thank y'all.
Y'all have a good week.